Hey, what's going on, guys? This video is string methods, so messages that you can send to string objects. If you don't know what messages are, if you're not sure about object orientation or objects and objects sending each other messages which are going to be interpreted by those methods or functions on those objects, if that all sounds too complicated, watch the last video, do a little bit of research online, and come back here. Likewise, if you don't want to understand programming at all, just continue to watch here and become a script kiddie. Okay, so useful things that you can do with strings. So we've got a string. We'll call it, hello, this is a string. Okay, don't do what I just did. Make sure you're in a Ruby shell and say string equals, hello, this is a string. We can do things like capitalize, which is strange, right? Because it's already capitalized, so that actually doesn't do anything. It doesn't change anything. We covered that in the last video. We can split that string, so string split. By default, just to cover this, so for example, when I say string capitalize, I'm not using this. But because Ruby is very lax about syntax, if it's a method that isn't taking arguments, so if you're not putting anything in these little parentheses, you don't actually need to use them. So string capitalize is the same as if I said string split without these little things. And you can see it actually comes out to exactly the same thing. So I'm sorry, I'll try to be better about that and call them explicitly with these brackets because that's what's really happening. You're just saying, hey string, I'm calling the split method on you, so that's the split function with no arguments, empty. If I wanted some arguments, I could say I want to split only on the comma character. Well, I can do that too. So, but by default, you should know string is simply splitting on an empty space. So split, we could say a string, is it empty? No, but an empty string is. String, what's your encoding? Are you UTF-8? What's going on there? Some strange ASCII thing. The other thing to remember is that strings they have a lot of the same properties as an array. You could sort of treat them like a character array, which in many languages they're implemented as that. So we'll cover arrays in the next video, but just so you know, most of the string functionality that you'll be using is really covered in the array video, which is the next one. So you can say, I want the 0th character, which is H. We'll talk about why that is H and why there's a 0th anything instead of starting with 1 in the arrays video. But just so you know, strings have this whole hidden identity as really, you could treat them like an array of characters. Okay, there I've said it. Now I've confused you. You're going to hate me, you're going to be angry and leave angry comments. But I'm sorry, it's the truth. Double-quoted strings and single-quoted strings are basically the same, except for one huge, gigantic difference that will make all the difference to you. And that is, this is a single-quote string. And let's say we have a variable called, I don't know, age equals 12. And something amazing that we can do with double-quoted strings, and that's simply double quotes instead of single quotes, is my age is hash, curly bracket, variable, closing curly bracket. This will return a string with the variable already inserted for you. It's called string interpolation. You take the value of some variable, and then this lets Ruby know, hey Ruby, the next thing you see, look it up because it's going to be a variable that's defined in this scope. Please put it in here and automatically convert it to a string if it's not already a string. This is incredibly useful and will make your life much easier than many other languages make it. It's also a little bit dangerous. But a single quoted string can't do that. So if I change this to be a single quoted string, it will escape anything I write into it. So this will give me sort of the raw escape value of this. So when you're writing programs, most of the time, you will be using double-quoted strings because you'll like to insert things like the value of some variable. Okay, so I'm leaving a lot of interesting string methods out, but I just want to get you running with this. We'll cover more detail later on. So that's the string video. Let's get to the really interesting stuff, which are collections of things, which you'll mostly be dealing with while you're writing programs. And so those are things like arrays and hashes. So let's get to that.